In U.S. politics, people often debate whether class or race is more important in shaping identity. But in real life, class identity is shaped at work, but also in neighborhoods, schools, and churches, all of which are still racially segregated. As historian W.E.B. Du Bois pointed out, America has two working classes. One is white and dominant, the other of color and subordinated. Throughout American history, the white working classes supported this racial division, allying with white elites to deny basic rights to people of color. Racial exploitation gives whites unearned wealth, the ability to oversee segregation, and a sense of social and political power. Racism caters to elites' interests rather than working people's. It undermines workers' rights, inflicts violence and poverty on communities of color, and robs people of their human dignity. U.S. democracy is still a work in progress. The racial hierarchy of the two working classes slows its advancement. Throughout history, there have been opportunities for multiracial class solidarity. But each time, white supremacy reinforced racial exclusion and suppression. Radical whites who challenged white supremacy and fought alongside blacks like John Brown, the Grimke sisters, and Wendell Phillips were crushed and erased from history books. White supremacy crippled whites' rights too. After the Civil War came the Reconstruction era, a radical experiment in economic and political democracy in the Confederate South. In many places, Reconstruction was led by blacks elected into government. The expansion of voting rights, public education, and distribution of seized slaveholder land benefited both freed slaves and poor whites alike. But after only 12 years, former slaveholders and Northern industrialists joined forces to defeat blacks and their radical Republican allies and end Reconstruction. Through violent suppression, elites eliminated rights and returned blacks to near slavery. Poor whites lost out as well. During the Great Depression, corporate greed caused economic ruins for millions of Americans. President Roosevelt and Congress passed New Deal laws to strengthen the social safety net and safeguard workers' right to organize. Union membership grew explosively, but rather than organize with all workers, white labor leaders allied with Southern Dixiecrats. With their support, Congress voted to exclude workers of color, domestic and agricultural workers from new labor protections, and it rejected urgent black demands for protection against rampant lynching. These decisions preserved elites' wealth and power and undermined both working classes. When President Obama took office in 2008, he faced a sharply divided Congress and only 43% white support. He fought uphill to expand health care and increase unemployment benefits and other social protections for all. Obama succeeded, but in 2016, fueled by racial resentment, a white voting majority elected Donald Trump, despite his promises to undermine labor protections and provide tax cuts for the wealthiest. Slavery and racism are original American sins that still divide workers, undermine livelihoods, and weaken democracy. Imagine if Reconstruction lasted and poor blacks and whites maintained land, education, and political unity. Imagine if everyone had health care. Imagine if labor protections were strong and unions free to organize. Working hard to build multiracial unity and learning to oppose racism and class exploitation could help working people see how racial manipulation hurts everyone and promotes ineffective short-term workplace demands over the long-term interest of all workers. It could help them see that ultimately the fight against racism is the struggle for stronger democracy, human dignity, a living wage, the right to negotiate collectively in a union, and basic rights and well-being for all people.